everybody, Ira Miller here with Homes Around the Village's YouTube channel, and tonight we are having some technical difficulties again. The whole building where we are, the internet went down. So what we've done is I have something called a jetpack that provides Wi-Fi. And so we're running off of this jetpack. So I have to ask all you all, how do I look from your screens, because we're not really at full strength with our Wi-Fi. So if you can kind of just give me an idea, I would appreciate it, because we do have a guest here tonight with us that we want to bring on. So let's, hopefully we're coming, since I think this is the only, well, I'm looking over at Antonio, because I don't know if that Wi-Fi jetpack is powering his computer and my computer.
Yeah, it is.
It is?
Yeah.
So anyways, I have to know how everything's going. So, all right, they're saying looking normal, looking good. Where's that jetpack?
It's right next to me.
Oh, I can't show it.
No, it's plugged in. I can't
Okay. I was going to show you. It's only about this big. But pretty amazing that we're able to stream from that jetpack. So anyways, desperate times call for desperate measures, right? That's kind of one of my sayings I like to say. So anyways, let's go. Jerry Bell, thank you. Number one, Kevin, he's probably not going to be here tonight. Kevin, well, I don't have it on my screen, but let's see. Hold up, Jamie Miller. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Nobody let Jamie know that Miriam's going to be here. So it's your fault.
Oh, crap.
Not my fault.
I didn't realize.
She's going to get you. Where was it? Oh, yeah, Kevin. So Kevin and I were trading pictures. So Kevin, that's my man Kevin, having a little cocktail, and he's trying to kill me here. Look at that. That's awesome. Beef, brisket, ribs. So here's my deal. It was my anniversary on Saturday. So I took Patty and I to the beach. We went to New Smyrna Beach. So I surprised her with a little trip to the beach and going to dinner. And so I ordered a king crab leg because, hey, I had to outdo Kevin, right? And when I ordered a king crab leg, they're like, sir, just want to let you know this king crab leg is $100. Well, I didn't want to look like a cheapskate and say, oh no, don't give me that because it's $100. But I figured, all right, it's our anniversary, bring it on. We'll go ahead and have a king crab, some king crab, a whole pound of it. Well, this is what they give me. That's it. One leg of king crab. That other little thing down there is a shrimp. Is a fried shrimp. My wife felt so bad for me. She threw one of her little fried shrimps down there. $100 for that. That's crazy. I told the guy, I said, no, I'm not paying $100 for that. Long story short, I paid $100 for that king crab leg. Anyways, so that's my story for the weekend. So Kevin, you got me. You outdid me, Kevin. All right, Patricia, thank you for joining us this evening. Patricia Navarro. Okay, thanks. Antonio sent you a little message there. Mindy, thanks for joining us. And Bill from down there in Keys. And Mig, thank you so much for kind of letting us know that we're looking good. All right, so that's the most important thing right now, is that we're broadcasting, because over here it says, warning, the stream's current bit rate is lower than the recommended bit rate. That's all Antonio language, not mine. We're just winging it, right? So hopefully we stay looking good. So thank you, Ricky. Thanks for telling us we're looking good. Bill's telling us good. Elizabeth, good evening. Looking clear, and I can hear you clearly. Great. All right. We don't need their Wi-Fi. Probably tell them I need a rebate on this rent that they're charging me here. All righty. So thank you, Bill, for the congratulations. Appreciate it. And Jerry Bell. So I called the manager over and I said, are you kidding me? This is $100 worth of king crab to you? Oh, sir, I know. That's why we tell everybody what it is. And last year it was $47, and now this year, so I have a few choice words, but I'm just going to kind of hold them to myself because we don't want to get political here on this channel. Oh, yeah. So anyways, Crabonomics. So Bill, just keep eating those stone crabs down there in Key West, and I guess you'll be good to go. Did you move in yet, Mindy? So we're still waiting on that. He's asked a couple of times, Mindy, did you move in? And we're waiting. We're all curious to know. Hello, everyone from New Jersey, waiting for the snowstorm tonight. Well, we're actually waiting for a little storm ourselves, and I think we got one coming in around 8 o'clock. So we got a little, yeah, but man, look at that. Whew. Yeah, it's all up and down the East Coast there. We're just getting the tail end of it, but it looks like there's a little something behind it in Tennessee, too. But, sorry to hear about all that. This is what the temperature is here. 77 degrees. Tomorrow will be cooler than today. And I have to say, thank God, because it's been in the 80s. It's a little hot down here in Florida. So we need to keep the cool weather here as much as we can, because we know summer's around the corner. And I always get people calling in. They said, we're going to come down and visit in July or August because we want to know really how hot it is in Florida. How hot does it get? Will I be able to tolerate the heat down there in Florida? Well, let me tell you, it is no more hotter here or humid here than what everybody else tells me when they come down from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, or wherever. So just know, our little peninsula here keeps us moderated with those cross breezes in the summertime. And usually the ocean is cooler than the air temperature, so that kind of keeps things pretty mild and not too bad. So you'll see when you get here. All right. So Like I said earlier, we have a guest on tonight. Bill, I can't even afford McDonald's here. Well, you know what? Get out of the Keys. I'm excited for you, Mindy. She says, well, at least it's not snow. Okay. Jerry Bell, thank you. I'm very excited. All right, so listen. Like I said, we have a guest speaker tonight. And we're going to go ahead and before we bring her on, this is what we're going to do. We're going to show you Mariem Bennett. Now it says St. Mary's, Georgia. So we're going to have to, oh, wait a minute. Let me get myself here situated. Okay, there we go. I always get those little buttons confused. Anyways, we're going to have to ask Mariem, what is the deal with St. Mary's, Georgia? Where is St. Mary's? And you know what? She's not even in St. Mary's. Right? Come on, we're gonna bring her on with us tonight, and this is Mariem Bennett, and she is a mortgage loan officer. So hello. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming. Where did you drive from?
St. Mary's, Georgia.
You didn't drive from St. Mary's, Georgia.
I drove from St. Mary's, Georgia.
You did?
Yes, and it was an honor to drive here.
See, look at that.
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you all.
Where is St. Mary's?
So St. Mary's is just 30 miles north of Jacksonville, Florida. So passing Emily Island, Fernandina Beach, Emily Island.
Well, isn't that not Sanibel, St. Simon's and Jekyll Island?
That's further north, like
That's
another
further.
30 miles north from me.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right, cool. All right, well, my son lives in Jacksonville, and I know from Ocala, it is 2 hours.
Yep.
So it must have, and then it's an hour, it's a half hour from Ocala, so you must have drove 3 hours.
About 3 plus, but it's a nice drive.
It's a nice
It is a nice job to get your phone calls.
I guess it could
return.
be. Did you go through Palatka?
I went 301. I just took the exit going to Fernandina Beach and took 301 north all the way here.
Okay.
Stop in Ocala. I have a beautiful lunch with one of your agents, Joanna. It was amazing.
You did?
We did. Sorry.
What? You two-timing me with an agent in my office,
Yeah.
Joanna?
She's beautiful, so she's
Wait
beautiful.
till I get a... And Joanna was here for agent training.
Yes, she's in a show as well.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago. And then I had Robert. Now I have you.
Yeah.
So, Mariem, that's how you pronounce your name?
Mariem.
Mariem.
That's my name. That's what they call me.
What do you call you?
Everything. Depends on the day.
So, she is a mortgage lender, and we're looking for everybody's questions for Mariem. All of you who are wondering what's going on with mortgage rates, mortgage programs. I know somebody was talking about a bridge loan yesterday or the day before. I didn't even think they did those anymore, but when they did do them, whew, those closing costs were a killer.
Yes.
But anyways.
And they still are.
They still are. I think it was like 10 grand. 10,000 or 12,000, something like that, to do a bridge loan.
There's better things to do
With your money.
with your money.
Which you're going to tell us about tonight, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so let's go here. Does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask Mariem? And then we'll get to the rest of yours if y'all want to hold the rest of the questions and comments, I'll come back to these that you all are asking about. Blakely and Eastport and all of that. So does anybody have any questions, or would you like to just start it off and just explain what kind of, you were talking to me about a 2-1?
2-1 buy down.
2-1 buy down. So I have been talking about buying mortgage rates down, interest rates down, last couple of times that we've been on the air, and I might have even done that in a video. But where do you see interest rates going? Do you have a prediction, or do you see them trending?
Well, I would like to see them as going down.
Oh, well, yeah. So would we.
So the rates right now, the family they're selling, it's going to the direction, I think, with the next Fed meeting coming up, I think we're going to see a reduction in the rate. Is that guaranteed? No, it's not. Otherwise, I will be a millionaire and a loan officer. However, we do see a trend that the rates got to settle down a little bit to be able to encourage buyers to start buying more real estate. If you ask me, I would say this is a time to buy right now, because there's a lot of buyers on the fence of buying because everybody's waiting for the rate to go down.
Right.
So when that happens, it's going to create a lot of competitive offers that if you don't really have your act together, you're going to miss up on opportunities. There's not going to be no more negotiation. There's not going to be seller concession. We're going to see a lot more of having to waive an appraisal, an inspection, which is your right to do so, right? So I encourage all my buyers, now is the time to buy. Buy when actually nobody's watching, refinance later, and you have the ball in your hand to be able to choose any lender that you want to go with to lower the rate.
There you go. That's very good advice.
Yeah, a lot of buyers right now, the main concern is the mortgage payments, which what boils down to, because obviously mortgage is one of the most expensive invoice you get every single month, and everybody trying to take control of that. And there are ways that you can actually have the seller contribute towards the mortgage payments, like we mentioned earlier, talking about your 2-1 buy down
Right.
offer that a lot of my customers are using, and it's amazing, because you're making a mortgage payment at a lower rate and the seller is paying on your behalf in advance the day of closing. So
Right.
it's one way to make it work.
And now that's in the form of seller's concessions, correct?
Correct. So the way that works, the seller concession, depending on loan program, obviously, if you're not buying cash, I will be the person you'll be talking with to get the financing. So depending on loan program, you can go from 3 to 6% of the purchase price that the seller can contribute on your behalf towards your closing costs. So part of that closing cost, it can be used to make that 2-1 buy down, which in other words, the seller is paying the difference in the mortgage payments for the first and second year. The first year, 2 points difference, the second year, 1 point difference. So let's say, for example, today's interest rate is 6.5.
Okay.
And you, Mr. Seller, are going to contribute towards my mortgage payment. The difference in the mortgage payments, what is 6.5, but I will be making a payment of 4.5. So you'll be paying that difference
So the first year, you have a reduction of 2%
of the interest rates.
of the interest rates.
The second year, 1%.
So you go from 6.5 to 4.5, and then the second year it's 1%. So that puts you up at 5.5%.
Correct.
And then from that point forward,
After the second year, you'll be paying 6.5. But let's say in 13 months you decide to do refinance because the rates will be lower to, let's say, 5 or let's say 4.75. So that is your move to go ahead and refinance it for a fixed 30-year term of 4.75. But you already have that credit from the seller sitting on an escrow with your servicer. So you actually can use that money towards your closing costs or towards paying down the balance So you never lose.
As long as they don't get crazy and spend that money.
Well, the servicer is the one that actually holds the funds. The buyer will not longer hold the funds.
So they would hold the whole, let's say they got a 3% seller's concession. So in a $300,000 home, that's going to be $9,000.
Correct.
And all $9,000 would go to the,
To one buy down if that's what's needed. It's only going to be the difference on the mortgage payments from the 6.5 to 4.5 and 6.5 to 5.5. Whatever is that difference, that is the amount that we will hold in escrow. The remaining it could be towards other closing costs, such your appraisal, your lender fees, your any other costs that you may have.
okay?
So it's a great opportunity for buyers to have comfortable mortgage payments paid by the seller. Meanwhile, if you do refinance, you can use it towards your closing costs. It's a win-win situation for the buyer.
There you go. So that sounds like a great plan. I'm sure probably a lot of you haven't even heard of a plan like that. And what would you think that, so if they wanted to refi, do in 2 years,
Okay.
what would you think an average would be on a $300,000 home to refinance that?
Towards closing
And
costs.
closing costs.
Well, the number they typically like to have an estimate of 3%. I do not like using the 3% estimate because same house with the same price in different location could have a different closing cost, like night and day. So let's say, for example, if you're calling it true closing costs, yes. So you're going to pay the same intangible because it's based on loan amounts, transfer tax, recording, lender fees. But if we are calling it cash to close, which is how much money is costing you to do this transaction, which is including your prepaids,
Right.
then I don't like to include that 3% because one home can have a $30,000 a year property tax and the other one can have $15,000.
Well, that's true.
So if we calling it true closing costs, I would say about 2%, 2.5%. If we go talking about cash to close, which is money they have to bring to the closing table or roll it into the loan, so I would like to do a case by case scenario.
Okay. So since I'm just now learning about this, we asked this, so let's go back. We asked the seller if we'll make an offer and then it's based on, let's say 3% seller's concessions.
Okay.
And you say that the service provider keeps that escrow, keeps that 3%.
The 2-1 buy down costs.
Right.
Correct.
And how much does the 2-1 buy down cost out of, let's say that 3%, that $9,000 on a $300,000 home?
So that will vary depending on the loan amount. So let's say, for example, to make numbers easy, let's say in a $200,000 home, let's say the mortgage payment's at 6.5% interest rates, just principal and interest. Let's say it's going to be $1,500. So in a 4.5, let's say it's $1,300.
Right.
So the seller will be paying $200 difference times 12 the first year.
Okay.
If the second year the mortgage payment, let's say, is $1,400,
Okay.
so the difference is $100.
Gotcha.
So $100 times 12.
Gotcha.
So you add those two numbers, and that's what the seller will contribute on your behalf
Okay.
towards the 2-1 buy down. Now,
Right.
if you negotiate it with the seller to have a contribution of 3%, you can use the remaining balance to pay off your closing costs.
So the lender's still getting their money. It's just that
Absolutely.
the seller is paying for part of that
The increase.
that deficit in the interest rate of 6.5%.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So it makes it more affordable for buyers to be able to manage their budget while the market settles down. However, if they do refinance, which I highly recommend to refinance when it makes sense, because the rate drops 0.25%, it does not mean it makes sense for you to refinance. Makes sense is when you actually, whatever cost you're paying is going to be sufficient to save you the amount of time you're going to remain in the home.
That's great. And I was kind of, so I was talking to Mariem about origination points. And that's what I've been kind of bringing up when I was talking about when we go to make an offer on a home. You know, maybe if you're not paying cash and you're getting a mortgage and you feel like interest rates are too high, then possibly we can ask for the seller to buy down that interest rate for that mortgage. So what do you think about that compared to your 2-1 buy down?
I will go, if I was personally purchasing a home, I'm a numbers person, and it makes a lot more sense to do a 2-1 buy down, because first, even when you buy in a discount point, which is buying down the rate.
Right.
So lenders, they have a cap. They have the rate they're giving you. They got to make so much money, because lenders, we are not a nonprofit organization, so they got to make money on it. So if you're getting a lower rate, which is not reaching their cap, that is the amount of money you have to pay to the lender to make it work. So let's say, for example, we go by basis points. So let's say a 6.875, it's 98.00 basis points, but the lender has to clear 99 for you to get the 7%. Will give them 99. But if you want that 6.875 or 6.3 and a quarter, you got to pay the gap.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you pay 1% of $300,000, which is $3,000, and you're saving 0.25%, which makes in your mortgage payments probably $20. So how much money you're really saving if you're
Right.
staying in that home for 3 years? Not a lot. So what I recommend, especially if you know that the trend of the market is that the interest rate is going to be lower, and you're going to eventually end up refinancing, is a lot better to save your money and just get the refinance done and save money when the rate is going to be 2% difference or 2.5% difference.
Okay.
That will be my recommendation, because by the amount, yes, discount points are tax deductible, because it's some of the costs that you pay in when purchasing the home is tax deductible, but you
Right.
never get dollar for dollar.
Right.
So my recommendation is pay the extra $20 a month or $30 a month, and just save your funds for when you refinance to have the bigger savings.
Okay. We have Mindy saying that they had a 3-2-1 builder buy down on their first home that we bought new in 1989. So I would imagine it's probably something similar to that. And speaking of that, I don't know what the rates were in 1989. Did you get a chance to look and see what the rates were back before the big market crash, before the big real estate market crash happened in 07, 08, 09?
When I looked at back in 2004, the rates actually was about in the 5s, because that's the year we were discussing to look at it. I went even further down and blow my mind, because I only been in this country for 20 years. So the little I know about real estate back then is whatever is in online and the research I've done. But I do remember before 2004, the interest rates were like a double digit. And the down payment required was in a double digit.
Wow.
And when they were still homeowners. And we had gotten to a point that the interest rates was in the low 2s, low 3s. We got used to it.
Yeah, we got spoiled.
We got spoiled. We even have, in Europe, I have currently a mortgage in Spain, and my interest rate is 0.75%. So yes, it's an adjustable rate, but it's 0.75% of interest rate. But I always think everything, I believe in balance. So when the country at 0.75% interest rates is going on for a long time, the country financially is not going to be doing well.
Right.
You know?
It can't. It's not getting any money.
That's right. So what I think is right now there's so many opportunities to purchase home. Yes, we are not in the 3s, but if you look at the rent right now, we are paying 100, like if you're renting, whether it's a commercial or residential, you're dealing with another set of issues, and you're paying 100% interest rate.
That's the way you look at rent.
And we paying it happily to somebody else to build their equity and wealth. So when I look at the numbers, I see what is a good debt, what is a bad debt. I'd be happy to pay a higher rate for a good debt that's going to give me a deduction, that's going to build wealth.
Right.
So the rates, yeah, are they higher than they were in 2020 and 2021? Absolutely. But was 2020 and 2021 realistically what the rate should roll forever?
And even before then, I mean, everybody has to remember that those rates were reduced just to stimulate the market, stimulate the real estate market again, because it was dormant. It was pretty much dead. No one was buying anything, and because prices kept going down, down, and everybody's like, why am I going to buy a home now? And then next year it's going to be worth a lot less than what it is today, and people just weren't buying. So, you know, to go ahead and stimulate that real estate market, that's why we got the 2.5% and 3% interest rates. But, you know, we're probably never going to see that ever again.
I don't think in my lifetime.
And hopefully not, because if that means if we do see those rates again, the real estate market is in big trouble. And I don't want to have to go through that again.
I agree. I mean, as much as we have suffered the last 25 months, it's been hard for everybody. No, real estate business and in any kind of industry, it's been rough. While I was unexpected was in 2020 and 2021, I thought, oh my gosh, I was actually buying an investment property, and COVID hit. I'm like, am I doing the right thing? And then I was like, it's going to be so quiet. And then suddenly it was insane. Like to get an offer accepted, and I'm sure, you know, in your market was the same. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And my fear is we're going to have that again by the third quarter of this year. So there are already some buyers that have outpriced themselves. Back when the rate was lower, they were trying to wait for the rate to even get lower than that, or the price is going to go low, and it's not happening. The price is going to keep going up. And right now, back in 6-7 years ago, you could get a beautiful home for $250,000. In our area, you cannot even get a bicycle for that.
Yeah.
So
that's right. So people have to understand that by waiting, you could be waiting to your own detriment.
Right.
Because, and then you don't want to get into a position where there's multiple offers, there's bidding wars, and then you're paying more for that home. And so timing the market isn't the best thing to do.
Correct, because you're missing on equity. So let's say a lot of people have waited for like last year and a half, 2 years for the rates to settle down. However, you're missing an equity.
Right.
You could have buy a higher rate and still, well, what is considered higher rate, because the media is saying it's higher rate. The minute the media starts saying the rate has dropped, then everybody's going to believe the media, not the professionals.
Right.
So then we're going to create that urgency again, and then you're going to start buying, but then you already missed out in 1 year of equity, and a minimum, real estate is going to increase at least 3% every single year.
Right. So just saying, well, I'm going to go ahead and hold off or rent, you're not doing yourself any favors.
Not at all.
And I was telling people too that what I call a transfer of equity, because if you're sitting on your home and you're like, well, you know, should I sell now? Should I wait? Should I see if I can, if maybe prices will go up a little bit more so I can buy? It's always if prices go up where you are, prices are going to go up wherever you go.
It's cost of waiting.
That's it. So there's no sense in waiting, that's for sure. And if you start getting into a point where you've waited so long, you're in a bidding war now, then now you've really outpaced yourself and you're paying more for the home. And was that really worth a percentage point or whatever. Probably not.
Right. When you
Take
can
a long
refinance
time.
it.
Yeah, it'd take a long time to recoup that.
Right.
All right, so Mindy was saying, let's see, hold on a second. Let's kind of go through our chats, see if we have any questions here. Blakely's back to work, by the way, Jerry. I don't know if she's 100%, but what's your prediction, everybody? I'll come back to that. And Patricia says, hi, Mariem, welcome. Bill says, hello. Let's see. Can retired people get a mortgage?
Absolutely. If you have an income, you can get anything. I'm sure if you have retirement income and Social Security income, I have also customers that did not have Social Security, but they had assets, so we can do an asset depletion program, which is based on the asset you have divided by 36 months, and whatever that income is, that comes up to be that's the income that we use for qualifying. I hope I answered your question.
Because that's that debt to income ratio.
Correct. So the asset depletion is solely based on your assets. So let's say you have $300,000, we divide it by 36 months. So whatever that income is going to come up from that, that's what we'll use for qualifying purposes. If you have Social Security income and you don't pay taxes on it, then we can gross it up to 1.15.
Great. Thank you for that question, BB. Current rates for 30-year loans.
That's a loaded question. So the interest rates, the way that works is it's a risk base. So the more risks you're to the lender, the higher is going to be the rate, because they're going to want to make money out of you as soon as possible, right? So the interest rates is going to vary depending on your credit score. So the highest your score, the better rates you're going to get. So if you have 580, obviously you're going to get a lower interest rates than if you have 740, which will be the prime rate. And also based on loan programs. The government loans typically, FHA, VA, USDA, they have actually a better interest rate than a conventional. Why? Because the government is backing up the insurance, which is the mortgage insurance, to the lender. In conventional loans, believe it or not, but if you put 20% down, and a conventional loan has a higher rate than if you put 5% down. Did you know that? And for the longest time, I'm like, why is it higher risk? Someone putting more money down, but it makes a lot of sense, because when you put 20% down, now a lender doesn't have the private mortgage insurance, which is the insurance that covers the lender in the event that you do default on your mortgage. They have no insurance, so they just have the 20% down, so the interest rate is slightly higher. Another thing to keep in mind is the escrow. The escrow is your taxes and your insurance. So if you have an escrow set up with the lender, that is less risk than if we just count on you that you're going to be paying for your taxes and your insurance. If you go have your escrow, the interest rate is 0.25% better.
Oh.
So,
really?
yes, so there's a lot of things that to consider when you're looking at the rate. So if you say, okay, well, I'm doing an FHA loan, or I'm doing a VA loan. VA loan is 100% financing, is for veterans. Let's say 30-year fixed. Let's say another thing to consider also is a term. The longer is the term, the higher is the rate. So the 15-year loan will have a better rate than a 30-year. So there's a lot of things to consider when they just go, what is your interest rates? In Google, this is 5.25. Yeah, but are they charging you discount points?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's a lot of things to consider. But I would say right now, an average rates, you wouldn't be looking about sixes, like low sixes to high sixes. That's what I was calling for a good range.
Well, that's actually better than. Has that gone down?
Yes.
Because I thought it was like 7.5 or 8.
Well, another thing to consider is there's just so much. So the other thing to consider is, are you buying a condo? Are you buying a mobile home, manufactured home? Those have a higher rate because it's higher risk.
Right.
If you're buying a single family residential, has a better rate. Are you buying it as an investment property versus a second home or a primary home? So every risk means you're going to be paying more money to the bank. So if you if you just put in a chat what type of property you're looking for, if it's a primary, second home, or investment, then I will definitely give you a range. But it's really is not one size fits all. It's very specific. And when I have customers shopping for the rates, what I recommend is your right to shop for rates, but at the end of the day, we all are going to sell about the same. You want to shop the same day and the same time, because you call me at one time and I am 1/4% better than another bank, and then you have called 3 hours later. It doesn't mean that I have a better rate. It just means there has been a market shift, which happens often, sometimes 3 and 4 times a day. In addition to rates, you want to shop for customer service, because they can give you an excellent rate, but if it cannot get you to the closing table, that's very expensive interest rates. You're losing so many other things. You want to make sure that you're working with a reputable lender. They can deliver, and believe it or not, they can answer their phone to answer your questions.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, that's why we brought Mariem on, because we're all about customer service and really value our customer service, and anybody we work with, we want to make sure that they provide the same
Absolutely.
customer service. So that's why we have worked with you and identified you, and says military on here.
Yes. I'm a military specialist. I work with a lot of veterans, and I decided to take a course and learn. Besides being a Navy wife, I had learned the challenges that military families go through, and you have to be able to speak their lingo and understand where they're coming from and deliver at their level. So we have a special for all service members and first responders in general. You know, we're grateful for what they do for us, and what else we can do, doing something to make their life easier. Because I have my own experience dealing with a lender when I was going through my move from Spain here, and not only the stress that you go through when you're buying a home and you don't understand something, but also it could cost you a lot of money if things are not done in a timely manner and understand everything you're signing. Because when you buy, it's a buyer beware state, and when you're signed, you're done. All the problems are yours, right? So we try to do our best. I think your best bet is make sure that you do work with a reputable lender, whoever you choose and you're comfortable with. But nowadays you can Google everything. Google is my best friend, and research who is going to be able to help you at your level, because this is the most important transaction that you do in your life, and you sign a contract for 30 years, regardless if you stay 1 year or 5 years or but you know, where I'm from, you buy a home and you die in it, right? But here it changes a lot. Every 5 to 7 years, people change locations, they move around. But it's very important to work with someone that has your best interest. And I appreciate how your agents work. It's amazing, like how much they take care of their people.
Yep.
and they care about them at a different level than what I have seen in the past. You have a great team here.
Well, thank you. We think so. As you found out, we're seeing Joanna today.
I did. We had a great time.
That's great.
It's great to connect with my, people that really care.
Somebody I was talking to today was talking to Chuck today, and I don't know if Chuck's out there watching us tonight, but I was talking to Chuck. He's going to pay cash for a home. And because he just felt like that might get him the home a little bit easier, and then, they might be more apt to take his offer. And we talked about, well, once you pay cash for the home and you get in the home, you could do a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. So do you do any HELOCs?
I do not offer HELOCs currently. I only offer HELOCs if they're purchasing a home. So for example, they're, like you mentioned, the bridge loan. Then we have an investor that's interested to do a bridge loan HELOC while they're between selling and buying.
Okay.
HELOC, I like the home equity lines of credit if you only need them for an emergency. Meaning you have it, if you need it, you touch it. If not, you don't. However, it's not secure funds either, because a bank can come anytime and say, close, right? So it's not really safe. If it's the money that you're trying to get out of the equity of the home because you can be paying 4% interest rate, then you can invest it and make more money somewhere else. I highly recommend the cash out because you control the rates, one, because the HELOC is always going to be prime plus whatever. So as prime goes up, the rates goes up. As primes go down, but the prime is not going to go down for a minute. I don't think for short-term loans. I think the cash outs, if you're looking to use the funds right now, the cash out refinance, which is just putting the first lien on your loan, and then you have fixed rates term.
For a cash out.
For a cash out.
And then you get whatever cash you want out of the house.
Up to 75%.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you leave 25% equity in the home sitting, and that will grow. However, if they are 62 and older, I recommend to do a HELOC through the reverse mortgage.
Because reverse mortgage
is a totally different dynamic, and I love it, and that's the first thing I'm going to do when I turn 62. I just did one. I got someone out of trouble. They were like really struggling, and that's what we did for her. With the HELOC, every year, the limit keeps going up. It mirrors your equity every year, so you're making money out of money that is sitting there. So the money is kind of working for you. It's actually a very neat program. I really hope the government doesn't shut it down because it's very neat at every level.
Gotcha. So you are you're a big proponent or advocate for a reverse mortgage. And do you do reverse mortgages?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's another way you can go ahead and buy a home and not have a mortgage payment, right?
It's buying a house at half price. I figured this was going to be my dream home. It's going to be a reverse mortgage.
So you pay 50% of the house.
50% of the house and have no mortgage payments for life. You only pay taxes and insurance.
Wow.
Because my kids don't want my house, they want my money. So I figured just to have that.
That's what I was going to say. They want your money.
Yeah, I have 4 kids. They want my money. They don't want my house. So I figure I'm going to give me the home I want with all the extras I want, because that's, especially when you do new construction, that's what most of the costs go to, upgrades. And I can get my upgrades at 50% and then just pay my taxes and insurance. And as long as I live in the home as a primary home, I will always have a reverse mortgage.
Well, there you go. So there's another option for you to be able to get your dream home and also not even have a mortgage payment.
Absolutely.
So,
especially when you're on fixed income, that's one less bill you have to worry about.
So what is the minimum percentage down payment for a 30-year mortgage?
If it's a primary home, you can go as 100% financing, because we can look into USDA, depending on what area you're looking at, the income they have. We can go 3% down payments. If it's an investment property, the minimum is 20% down. If it's a second home, it's 10% down.
Okay. Well, I thought second homes or investment properties were like a minimum of 25% down.
No, 10 and 20.
Wow.
Yeah, which
So
is nice.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's first or second home. Oh, let's see. So I guess we kind of answered Mindy's question about if there's a first or second home. So Bill is saying I wasn't aware that there would be a difference if it was a second home versus a first home.
But second home is a house that you don't live 365 days a year. Second home is a home that you may live like go to it 1 weekend a month, or so that could be you can have several second homes.
But again, as a second home, you only have to put down
10% down payment.
10%.
Now the difference is in interest rates. 3 years ago, the primary home and the second home had the exact same interest rates. And now the government said, you guys been taking advantage of this way too long, and they
Yeah.
changed it. And now the second home interest rate is about a point higher, 1 point exactly higher than a primary home.
Well, if they think if you can afford a second home,
You can afford a higher rate.
Exactly.
So yeah, a second home definitely is only 10% down, and there is a home considered how we determine if it's a second home or it's a primary home. It's a second home. It cannot be over like an hour and a half drive from your primary home.
Oh, it has to be more than that.
More than that.
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, or that makes sense that you live like in the downtown and then you have a house on the beach. So it's ocean view. Well, that makes sense, and it could be your second home. And not call it an investment, but you definitely want to go with the second home versus an investment.
Gotcha. And then primary mortgages, you said you can go 100%. That 3%, was that an FHA?
You can do home ready actually as a primary home. Home ready is 3%, has a better interest rate sometimes, and has a better mortgage insurance as a first-time home buyer. So what we do, the way that we structure our business and my team is not one size fits all. Each individual has a different need, and we have an interview with them, and we see what they are, and we offer them what is best to them financially and what makes sense long-term as well. And we give them the option, and then they'll choose. Because I can say everybody qualifies for FHA, but maybe FHA is not good for you if you put in 20% down.
Right.
Because there are other benefits when you do that.
And you're paying PMI.
Absolutely. And you're not paying mortgage insurance with a conventional. You may have a slightly higher rates, but there's so many things, moving pieces, that what is right for you might not be right for me. So we take that initial interview to listen to the consumer and see what is their need. And then later on, it's laid out to the best of our knowledge what is the right thing for them to do.
And VA loans, are those, help me with the PMI. Is there PMI on a
They have something called the funding fee, and that funding fee is 2.15% of the sale price, and is rolled into the loan amount. If you have used it for the first time,
Okay.
if you use it for the second time, it's 3.3%. Now, let's say you are a disabled veteran, and you're disabled a minimum of 10%, and is service connected. What that means is whatever happened to you, it was while you were active. So that funding fee is actually waived. So that's one of the most important
Oh, wow.
questions that we ask all our customers, that if you don't ask the right questions, then you can actually make them pay for something that they should not be paying for. So that's the only time that it's waived, if it's a service-connected disability for a minimum of 10%. And out of 10 veterans or active duty, like retired, probably like 7 of them, they have actually that disability that they work with me, which is nice because there's a good savings for them. You don't pay upfront; it's rolled into the loan amount, but
Right.
that you roll it to a loan amount and you pay an interest on it. So it is very important
I got you.
to get it waived.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. What is the minimum versus second? There are many mortgage companies require a little more down payment for second homes, and the rate is slightly higher on the mortgage as well. Let's see. And then, we already talked about the 3-2-1. We are looking to go 50-50 with my father-in-law. Why would I choose you, knowing that you are going to charge me more? Let's see. We are looking to go 50-50 with my father-in-law. Why would I choose you, knowing that you are going to charge me more? I don't understand.
And she's gonna be paying cash with for the house. Maybe they're gonna be paying 50-50.
So Colvey, that's absurd. Now, how do you define a reputable lender? Clearly, they aren't there to help you. Why would you say that? They're there to help you buy a home, right?
Well, I am there to help her or help him buy a house and educate him about the mortgage process.
Right. So, so I don't know what I don't understand the comment. Knowing that you are going to charge me more, we will apply 50%. We will finance. He will apply 50%. We will finance. So he's saying that the father-in-law will come up with 50% cash,
Okay.
and then they're going to finance.
The other 50%.
Right.
Okay.
So I don't see how.
But charge more in what sense?
Right, that's what I'm trying.
About the interest rates, you're going to be paying the interest rates. You'll be paying the interest rate, but also the interest rate is deductible. Also, you will have your funds. If that's all the funds that you have, once you pay cash, you don't have any other funds for emergency. That's why I am a control freak when it comes to reserves. So I have to have my reserves. So I don't like paying cash for everything. I pay cash for things that need to be cash, but I have to respect my reserves. So I don't know what your question is really.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It didn't make sense to me. Why would I choose you, knowing that you are going to charge me more? I don't understand how you come about that she's going to charge you more than I'm assuming it's than another lender. And we haven't even talked about closing costs, so I'm not following that one. What about buying from a Canadian? What is the best rate for a Canadian? Well, buying from a Canadian, okay, well, Matthews, you know that you get into the FERPTA part of
Right.
part
You'll
of
be doing
things.
It's a foreign national program.
Right.
And again, whatever is, anytime there's a risk to a lender, it's going to be higher rates. Just like tax ID loans. People that are in the States and they're not legal. So you offer tax ID loan. You're going to be paying higher rates, higher down payment. Bank statement loans. It's going to be higher rates, higher down payment. So all those specialty products, they are going to be higher rate because it's more risk to the lender.
Because it's a Canadian seller?
Oh, but if it's a Canadian seller,
Yeah, that's what it says. What is the best? Oh, well, what is the best rate for I guess for a Canadian? So
a seller or buyer?
well. First of all, he asked, "What about buying from a Canadian?"
Mm-hmm.
Then he went on to say, "What is the best rate for a Canadian?" So
Okay,
is
so
it different?
So for a Canadian, I mean, if it's a seller in the United States and they just happen to be in Canada, if the buyer is a U.S. citizen, that should have no effect. If a buyer is Canadian, he lives in Canada, his taxes are filed in Canada, and he's buying in the U.S., then we have to do a foreign national program,
And it's
which is a specialty product, which means it's going to be higher rate. So I would say it's going to be probably in like in the 8 or 9%.
It's funny you should ask about that because I was actually talking about that with my team, and we were actually saying, so Canadians right now,
3/4%.
yeah, they only get 75 cents on their dollar. And I know working with other Canadians in the past, they're like, well, it was, when I did the math, I think it was on a $300,000 home, you're paying
425 probably, something
Yeah.
like that.
well, I guess the math I used, it said you're paying an extra $75,000. That's what 25% of a dollar was. So
That makes sense.
so $75,000 right off the bat. A lot of people from Canada don't want to have to get hit with that. They'd rather wait for that exchange at least
To
kinda,
change a little bit.
Patricia, well, let's see. Patricia says, I have a HELOC against my primary home, and getting it was a great decision. I paid off my rental in no time. I only had to pay simple interest on a daily loan balance. Time is the enemy, not the rate.
Yeah,
So that was smart.
that was very smart.
Yeah. You are very...
Very nice comments,
Yes.
Patricia. You married the house, you date the interest rates. That's what they were saying when the rates kept going up everywhere. Because you can refinance any time, but there's no guarantee that you're going to get that house when you wanted to get it at the right price that you want to get it. Once you're doing the negotiation just one-on-one with the seller versus like 5 other offers or 10 other offers like we saw in 2020 and 2021. So it'll focus on the big numbers and not on the small numbers.
Very good. And then Culvsy, he kind of, or she or he, they clarified. You just said that charge more for higher down payments. So if they're going in with the father-in-law and they pay 50% down, you were saying that, you pay a higher interest rate if you pay more for a home.
But it's going to be cheaper than not having any funds available to you and paying cash. So, yes, because once you have a down payment, and minimum of 20% down payments on a purchase, the lender cannot get insurance. They can't force you to get insurance because you have already paid so much money down. So for that, you have a slightly higher rate, but it's not going to be astronomical because if you have a good credit, and I'm just saying the part of the parameters that the lenders we use to actually quote the rates, it takes all of that in consideration. But it's going to be better than getting a personal loan or having no money left for reserves if that's your case. Maybe you have enough and you don't have to worry about that if you want to pay it cash. But remember that also that the interest you pay in is tax deductible. And you can always pay it off when you have more money and you don't have to worry about carrying a loan. But for your specific scenario, we can quote it based on your scenario. What will the number look like? I'm just giving you the back office of how we come up with the rate.
And the rate is the rate. I mean, that's not your particular company, correct?
That's across the board. Every lender is across the board. Every lender has pretty much the same criteria. That's how they make their money.
Right.
Yeah, there's not. They have certain numbers that they have to meet, and either they are, it's just like everything else. You get what you pay for. There might be some lenders that I'm not going to be the cheapest, but I'm not going to be the most expensive. So there's going to be some lenders probably going to offer you a better rate or lower cost or higher rates or higher costs. But everything comes with a price. So if there's a lender out there that is offering you lower costs, somebody's eating that cost. Whether it's hiring poor loan officers are getting paid less money, or because we are all commission based, or they are. So what does it transfer to you is like they're less educated. They've been less in years in the business. It's everything has a cost. Nothing comes for free. Not even freedom.
That's right. Freedom isn't free.
So we are very. I've been with Fairway Mortgage for 10 years, and one thing that I am lined up with this company because in our industry you switch a lot, just like real estate. I would imagine realtors move from company to company. One thing that we are lined up is we are very transparent. Whatever is going to be provided to you is going to be black and white, very transparent. Not going to tell you I'm going to give you a free appraisal and then I'm going to charge it to you in the back end and you don't even see it. You're going to see everything. Because I believe that is the right way to do business. It has to be a win-win situation for everybody.
And here's another thing that kind of crossed my mind. You want to talk about loans and interest rates. Just think about what you're paying on credit cards.
Car loans.
It's car loans, credit cards. I mean, really, when you think about it, a mortgage is probably going to charge you the lowest interest rate out of any loan out there in this country.
And what Patricia mentioned earlier about the line of credit, that's actually very smart. I actually have rentals, and you should, if you have more than one property, you should have a line of credit on each property. Doesn't mean you have to use it.
Right.
The line of credit is also tax deductible up to $100,000. So let's say you have a bad debt. Credit cards, the interest you pay in a credit card is not tax deductible. Car loan is not tax deductible. So if you see yourself in a situation that you're paying so much in interest rates and that credit card just never goes down, it's a lot smarter just pay it off with your line of credit.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the year, when you get that interest statement, you put it towards your taxes.
Yeah, there you go.
So you can literally gamble with the money, and they don't tell you what you spend the money on. It can be home improvements, but because it's secured by your primary residence or investment, it becomes tax deductible. So I think everyone should have a line of credit. It's not because I have lines of credit or just an advice that will be something beneficial for your bottom line, because at the end of the day, it's not how much money we make, it's how we manage it.
Right. And so, yeah, Mindy, I understand what you're talking about and what Culpsy is talking about, that, you know, if you put 20% down, you're going to pay a higher interest rate than if you put only 5% down.
Slightly higher, but remember, you pay an interest rate based on the loan amount. So even if you're, let's say, 0.25% higher on the interest rate, do you rather having a mortgage payment for $200,000 or for $500,000? So think about that. So it's not only the rate, but also the rates is based on the loan amount, and your interest payment is going to be based on the loan amount. So at the end of the day, you are winning. What I recommend you, since you put in 50% down, and if that works with your game plan, is going for a lower term. So instead of going for 30 years, go for a 20 or 15 years, because that will give you better interest rates. I personally do it another way around. I'd rather having slightly higher rate, but I like to manage my mortgage payment to be the lowest. And then if one month my finances are better than the other month, I just double the payments. So that way the bank doesn't tell me what they want me to send, I manage it. And at the end of the term, if you make one extra mortgage payment a year for the 30-year term, you're eating up 7 years, so they end up having a 23. So imagine making more than one extra mortgage payments a year.
Well, that's great.
And I applied it for my primary home, just to give you an idea. I started that mortgage in 2012, and I'm about to pay it off this year. So, and I did it for 30 years because that's what I believed in. Like, I wanted to manage my minimum monthly expenses, and it's the same number. You just manage it better. I don't know your finances and your situation, but that's something to consider. Just tell your loan officer whatever you want, what is your game plan, and they should make it customized to your need.
And you're saying that you can do a HELOC on an investment home?
You can. I don't offer home equity lines of credit, but any local bank they will be able to offer lines of credit. I only offer it if they're using it as a vehicle to get to another house, and that will be paid off. But any bank will be able to offer line of credit.
Okay. Patricia says, I plan on using a purchase HELOC to buy my new primary home in Florida.
A
A purchase HELOC.
HACM?
So HECM is a reverse mortgage, right?
Right. Is it purchase HACM or HELOC?
Yeah, she said HELOC, but it might be a HECM.
I would not do that, buying a primary home with a line of credit, unless absolutely that is your only way to make it happen because of credit or because of income. Because remember, the home equity line of credit is a higher interest rate and is also variable. So you can lock it, but even once you withdraw the money from your home equity line of credit, and then you ask the bank to lock it for you, then they call it a home equity loan. But once they lock it, it's going to be higher. And I know this because when I worked at the bank, when I first started, I did a lot of HELOCs. So I know my HELOCs in and out, and that's why I believe in them. But you're always going to be paying higher rates. So I will highly recommend to look into it more details. Maybe you're doing it because of qualification issues, or you're doing it just because it's easy. It's like paying cash.
All right. Well, so again, Colsey is explaining. She said that they will charge more for the higher down payment because the lender won't make as much. So that makes it sound like it's kind of the greed of the lender, because they won't make as much if they put more of a down payment down.
No, it's more, it has nothing to do with making as much. It has to do when you put it 20%, then the lenders don't have a mortgage insurance.
Right.
So it's another layer of risk. So if you forfeit on your mortgage payments, then they're on their own. Then they eat the balance.
So what happened to all the Fannie Mae backed loans?
The backed securities, well, if they are insured, that's great. But they're not all of them insured.
Really?
Because they're insured for, with the federal, but they're not insured with the private mortgage insurance, that the additional insurance they get. With the when the borrower pays that monthly fee, it goes to the insurance that they pay on behalf to the lender.
Right.
So it is that tax deductible. However, you're not going to get all your money back, and this way it's important to try to put as much as possible down to reach out that 20% if possible, because they say you have to keep the mortgage insurance for 5 years, but it's not always the case. And the minute you prove to the lender that your home value is 78%, they have to drop it. Every servicer has a different route to go about it. With some, they may ask you to get an appraisal. Others, it's like, oh, you have to do this or that. But they can drop it. Let's say in 1 year, you reach out 22% equity. They must drop that mortgage insurance.
I'm going to have to check my mortgage.
You're not paying mortgage insurance, right?
I don't know.
You have a jumbo loan, or do you have a conventional?
Conventional.
Like the conforming or non-conforming? Over. So you have to look at what type of loan, because jumbo loans don't have mortgage insurance.
Well, jumbo loans are over what, 650,000?
Depends on the limit. Yeah, over that.
Yeah, I have just conventional.
Conforming. Okay, so conforming, if you haven't put 20%, so you want to check it. Yes, you don't have to refinance. Now, the FHA you have to refinance.
Yeah, okay.
The
No, I don't have
FHA
it.
you must refinance.
I don't have FHA. So I'll have to look into
Just look
that.
into it and reach out to the servicer.
Yeah. I do want to give a shout out to Tom George. Thank you so much for your comment. He said, "Thank you, Miriam. We have learned a lot and have a new regard for mortgage brokers."
Thank you.
So that was nice. If someone does a reverse mortgage, say they buy a $500,000 home, they pay the $250 to get in, plus pay taxes and insurance. If after 1 year they pass away, does the bank get the house?
No, it works exactly the same way as a forward mortgage. With the reverse mortgage, actually makes it easier on your heirs, because the reverse mortgage, the mortgage company takes care of everything. What they do, they first, when they get notified that the borrower is not longer with us, then they reach out to the heirs and they let them know what the balance of the home is, and if they're willing to put the loan in their name, pay the balance, and then keep the home. And if the heirs not interested at all in the home, then they will place the home on the market, they will sell it, they will take care of absolutely everything, which is, I think, the hardest thing for any kid, is to take care of the belongings of their parents when they're gone. And once they sell it and settle, they pay off the balance, and then the remaining of the funds, they will go to the heirs. So the misconception here was, back in the day when they first started with the reverse mortgage, they had a very bad reputation, because what happened, the people were misinformed, they were not getting educated about the process. So in order to be in a mortgage, in a reverse mortgage, you have to be 62. So that means your husband and wife, and your wife is 61 and your husband is 62. The husband was going in a mortgage, was buying a home. The wife was out, was never on a loan. So they never informed them that after she turned 62, they had to do a refinance and include her. So what happened is, husband passes, mortgage company gets the news, the wife's got to go. Not sure where, but not there. She couldn't stay in the house. So because they were never educated to add the spouse. But now the government got involved, and I think the reverse mortgage is the answer to many fixed income borrowers, because people cannot afford being in their homes anymore. It's just the money is going to gas and go to grocery. They pay taxes, and I have customers I help that they had the house paid off and they could not meet their end of the month. They were struggling. I actually closed one here in Ocala. So that was the last story that I had, and she's so happy. She's traveling all over the place now.
Oh wow!
Because she got the drop every. She got the lump sum at closing, and every year she'll be getting money out of her home. And but she was struggling. She had issues with health because of stress. Every end of the month, she was struggling paying her bills. But this is going to be the answer to many people, because listen, the kids, like I told Ira, kids do not want your home. I don't want to live in my mom's house. I don't want her money either, but my kids have a different idea about mine. So I want to be comfortable. I want to be able to travel and have fun. And I don't want to take money out of my retirement to pay for the bills. I want to be able to take that money and pay for the fun stuff. So, but there's a lot of misconception. First of all, before you enter the reverse mortgage, there's a class that you must take before I even finish the application. They have to take that class to educate everyone what they're doing. So a lot of times heirs think, oh, we're not going to get any money. The bank is just going to keep the money. But that's not the case. The bank is not going to keep your money. They will sell the home if your children don't want the house. They will pay the proceeds, because there's going to be a balance, because there have not been any payment made. So there's going to be a balance. They pay off the balance. I'm sure there's a fee. And then the remaining of the funds will go to your heirs. With a forward mortgage, you see so many foreclosures out there because the bank does not take care of the sale of the home. If somebody dies, then they reach to the heirs. If they don't pay off the balance, the bank forecloses on the home. So to me, it's more scary to go with the forward mortgage than go with the reverse. And I hope I answered your question.
Well, And I kind of just want to just expound a little bit more on Kogeskel's comment. If someone does a reverse mortgage, say they buy a $500,000 house, they paid $250 to get in. Well, then, yeah, the bank pays the other $250, but after 1 year, you're not going to be upside down in that home after a year. You can put that home on the market if that person passes away. Get whatever you can out of the home. You give the bank back the $250 plus that interest that was accumulating for that whole year.
Right.
But it's not going to be $250,000 in a year.
That's right.
Now, if they're in there for 20 years, I mean, then well, so the whole premise on that is that real estate's going to continue to go up and up and up and up. And so supposedly you don't ever get upside down with the bank. But, at some point, you're going to reach a point where if you have deferred so much interest, yeah, you'll probably catch up to that $250,000.
But the difference is with the reverse mortgage, so let's say they are upside down and they lived 20 years, they're not going to go for the heirs. Nobody is going to take that loss.
No, it's not in the heir's name, and the heirs don't have to take the home.
That's right. Yeah, so they don't have to take the home.
Right.
If there's an outstanding balance, does not go anywhere. That's why they have an insurance. They have a mortgage insurance to cover for them.
Right, there you go.
Yeah, so that's the beauty of it. But what's even better is, you remember in 2007 and 2008 with the real estate tanking, that has not affected the reverse mortgage at all. It doesn't matter what the value is in 2008. If it was valued in 2005 up here and now we are here, they are not going to go back and say, oh, sorry, never. No, they stay at this value, which is huge. That's what the value is, until the government figures out, and then they won't offer that anymore. But the value is they will not go for the heirs. They will not go for the loss for anybody unless, that they have money to give them, because there's remaining funds after they sold the house and pay off the balance, and there's left over, then belongs to somebody.
Right. Well, that is if they take the house over and sell the house and try to get whatever equity out of the house that could possibly be there.
Right.
All right, let's see here. Does reverse mortgage affect your FICO score? Does it lower your FICO score?
Does not lower your FICO score, and the reverse mortgage don't care about what credit score you have. Matter of fact, this customer I just helped, she had like a 500 credit score. We don't care.
500.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I found out that it's very difficult to get a mortgage for less than $150,000 because they can't bundle and sell small loans.
That is not accurate. There must be loan officers that don't want to do your $150,000 loan because they believe on themselves and make themselves more money. But I do know few of them. However, I don't care about the size of the loan. I care about the relationship.
But I have heard 50,000.
I have heard 45. I have heard 45 in most banks, but I'm going to tell you the story about lower loan amounts. Does not mean we don't want to do the loan amount that is 45. There's some things it's called a high cost loan, and that's actually it's monitored by the government. Meaning, if I'm charging you more than 5% in closing costs, they automatically think I'm ripping you off. However, when you're buying a house that's $45,000 and you're buying a house that's $300,000, believe it or not, the attorney charges the same amount of money. The lender to do the loan charges the same amount of money. The appraisal charges the same amount of money. So when you keep adding those numbers, you reach out to 5% a lot faster than if you buy a house that is $200,000 to $300,000. So what happened is when I input those fees that are legitimate fees, the systems start giving me red flags everywhere, and it says stop. You cannot do this loan for that much. So obviously, I cannot do a loan for somebody and pay for their appraisal, for their attorney, for their fees that I'll be paying them to get a loan. That would not work correctly. So that is actually legitimate, and it's called high cost loan. And that's why there is a limit of how much you can do, and that's only in primary home.
So if it was a $350,000 home and they put $300,000 down and say they only wanted to do
50,000.
50,
That might give you a red flag.
yeah.
Because you have so many fees that you have to charge because they're third-party fees, or we have to input them in the system, and then the system is going to say, you're ripping off this customer, what are you doing?
Yeah, but in reality, it's still a 300. Now I can see if it's a $50,000 home and they want to borrow 45,000 and all those
But
fees.
the lender fees are only based on the loan amount. That's what we are control of. So we don't charge people more than they should be charged.
Right, so I don't think if it was a $300,000 home, I understand the red flags going.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just say, you know, I only want to. They might want a 50,000, or okay, you said 45. Let's use
45, 50, yeah.
You know, people might want to have a small mortgage just to kind of write off a little bit of
The
interest.
best thing
but-
to do is just go into a local bank and just do a local thing that might be able to do
Just
like
like
a
a personal
short term,
loan?
yeah, short term.
Yeah.
Because every lender will have the same problem because it's monitored by the government. So the lenders will not overcharge the consumer. That's what comes down that high cost loan theory.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. This is all very interesting, useful information. You the man, Ira, thank you so much. And to the young lady taking mortgage info, thank you, sharing your expertise. So, Mariem, thank you. Thank you for coming
having
in.
me.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And for that 3-hour ride all the way down
Of
here.
course. It was
just
my
to kinda
honor.
Chat to everybody for about an hour and a half. Which
That's
was-
awesome.
So
That's
I think
great.
we got a lot of good information out there.
Thank
And anybody that missed it, they can go back, and this will be on our YouTube channel, and you can watch the whole thing over again.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much. I
Thank you, thank
appreciate
you.
it. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that, and as you know, I need my glasses. Bye, Mariem. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Gaskell, thank you so much for that comment. I appreciate it, and again to Tom as well, Tom George. As I promised, we were going to go back and mention some or answer some questions. Let's see. Can the speaker help us with obtaining a mortgage? Hey, Mariem.
Yes.
They want to know if you could help them with a mortgage up north.
Yeah.
Out
So
of
we have branches everywhere, so I can refer them. If you send me their contacts, I can refer them. Up
Yes.
north where?
yes, she can. And let's see. So Margaret says you can earn high interest rates in CDs, stock market, and such. We are earning quite a bit. We will continue to wait in this down real estate market. Well, and I get you. I get when mortgage interest rates are higher, CDs interest rates are higher as well. So, Peter, your video on the first responders was great. Maybe you can check out the new. Have I got a surprise for you? So, let's see here. I did go to my. We're going to kind of go back to channel, and we do. Cordoba's in here?
Cordova Rec Center, it's
Yeah.
not in the video, no.
Huh?
Cordova Rec Center, it's not in the first responders video, no.
No. Is it a separate?
No, it's not in there.
Cordova is not in here?
No, is that the one that's not built yet?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not on the channel, no.
Is it unlisted here?
No, it's not.
Where is it?
It's just saved on my computer for now. I didn't go through it yet.
Okay, well, I did video Cordoba. So let's see here. We have to do a little, what I'm going to call reverse engineering. Here we are. So just so you know, I'm not lying to you. Whoops. There's Cordoba. Now, I did a little mirrored. This is when I got my brand new phone. Now, y'all know what kind of problems I've had on my phone, right? So, anyways, that's a little sneak peek. There we go. So I did, as promised, I did shoot that Cordoba video for you. And I guess we'll get it up here next week. I thought we would have had it done by this week, but we've been working on a lot of other projects. And there's a lot of drone footage on this. So I'm just gonna shut it down here for us somehow. You guys know I'm technically challenged. Oh, here we are. There we go. Okay. So I do have the drone footage, some really cool drone footage from Cordoba over to Spanish Springs and back. It's just that close. So I thought we had it, but we put out first responders instead. Rule number 1, do your own research. Near Eastport to the sales team is not the same definition as near to a buyer. Hubby and I made the drive, took us 35 minutes by golf cart. Okay, Mindy, man, how did I miss all of this? Regular rate was 11% in 1989. Oof. Well, thank you for sharing that because, oh, okay, that was your 321, right, Mindy? Gotcha. It was a regular rate of 11%, but then the 321 brought it down to 9, 10, and 7, or 7. Well, it would, 3%, I would think, from 11 is 8. There it is, 8%. Then second year was 9, and then 10, and then 11. All right, Tom and Lauren. Yes, thank you for joining, and appreciate it. That is true. Hey, will you watch her as she goes down?
Oh, I did. That's why I was out there so long.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. All right, I don't want to miss anybody. I'm going to go back, up, and hopefully we're still looking good. We are plugged in, right? Of that jetpack? The
Yeah,
jetpack's
we're still live.
Jetpack's still good.
Yep.
With the battery?
Yeah, it's at 27.
Okay, cool.
It's charging, so.
All right, good. Okay, so let's see. Wow. So it's 77 degrees here, like it is in Key West. We dropped a little bit, getting ready to rain. Storms coming through at 9. That's why I wanted to get Mariem on the road, because need to get her back to safety. 40 in Michigan. Well, that's really a heat wave in Michigan, isn't it? And then it's 37 in Indiana. So that's pretty close to what Michigan's temperature. So what is your prediction on Eastport? Will it be more popular than Sumter Landing? Good question. That remains to be seen, because I'm not entirely convinced that it's going to be that it has the infrastructure that Lake Sumter has, like the movie theater, and I guess as big. So I'd have to kind of do a little research on Eastport just to see if it's going to be as big as Sumter, because there's a lot to Lake Sumter. And I found that since a lot of people are from up around the New England area, that's why they love Lake Sumter Landing, because it's kind of themed in that little coastal town up there. So my Eastport prediction is it'll be pretty popular. Well, you know what? I think they're all popular. And they're always kind of doing something different. I heard in the Village's news network that the Village's got the okay to start putting apartments at Spanish Springs. So I guess that's why the big makeover. I don't know if y'all have seen the big makeover in Spanish Springs, and I actually have a older video before they really redid the front entrance. Maybe I'll do a little comparison, but it all makes sense now as to why they're trying to update it. Even the Villages has done a 50-year, what was it? No, it wasn't a 50-year. Was it 94? A 30-year. That's what it is. They're doing a 30-year celebration at Spanish Springs. So they're really making a big to-do out of the Spanish Springs area, I think simply because they're putting those apartments in over there. They did away with the movie theater, which I was kind of sad to see that go. They just were starting to redo the whole thing, and then everything stopped, and everybody's wondering what the heck's going on? Why is the movie theater closed for so long? I actually see them. Let me think. I actually see them tearing down the movie theater, and I wouldn't be surprised if they took out the Marriott either, because there's a lot of space and a lot of extra parking back behind there, which I'm going to show you. Let me do this real quick. Market update. So with our market update, oh, I know what I wanted to share with you too. Okay, so 370 homes on the market. Let's see what's sold. One in the last 30 days. We'll take this out. So 90. There were 90 sales in the Villages over here in the last 30 days. So that's pretty good, because I actually did a search for where am I not showing my search? I did a recent search for Fruitland Park. No, this isn't it. How come my search is not coming up? Anyways, here's what I'll do. I'll just do a manual search. And that was for Leesburg and Fruitland Park. And I said, what sold in those two cities alone? In the last 30 days. So it was 90 in the villages, 90 homes sold, and 33 matches, 33 homes sold in those two cities. Under 350. Let me, how did, all right. Earth to Ira. We're going to start anew. 370 homes on the market, active, and I want to know, because I was going over this with Robert, because Robert and I were looking, and I did it from my phone because we didn't have internet. So, Leesburg, can't even spell Leesburg, and Fruitland Park. And sold in the last 30 days. Let's see if that, 68 matches. So Robert, I don't know how I got 9 matches on my phone. That's kind of crazy. Because here's what I did. Well, there we go again. It must have hope you guys are hanging in there with me, because it seems like there's a discrepancy between the phone and the computer. Anyways, I need to get back to my chats here, because we're only at 6:22 and here it is 7:50 in the evening. So Margaret says, of course Eastport will be popular. Folks have been waiting years for it. Gold Wingnut just did a drone flyover. Things have been stalled. He is predicting late 2025 before it opens. John Keller, thanks for joining us this evening. And what is the minimum? Okay, so we're going to go through the mortgage questions. That is true, Margaret, but the villages is marketing those villages as near Eastport. Gotcha. Dabney and Lake Denham are not close to Eastport. You need to drive to Sawgrass, then cross the Bexley Bridge over the turnpike. Quite a haul by golf cart. Okay. So, let's see. Rule number 1, do your own research. Near Eastport to the sales team is not the same definition as near to a buyer. So it took us 35 minutes to get there by golf cart from Dabney and Lake Denham, right? And then Kristen, hi, do you have a favorite village on the western edge of the villages with easy access to a route to Ocala? I'm likely moving late this fall. Okay, so on the western edge with easy access to a route to Ocala. And that's what I would advocate as the Mariem County section of the villages. That's at the far north end of the villages. Excuse me. And easy access to Bellevue. And there's several different ways to get to Ocala, just depending on what part of Ocala you're wanting to get to. But there's all kind of different routes through the back of the villages, out 42, over to 301. If you keep going to 475, there's just a ton of different routes to get you quickly to Ocala. So get with me. Actually, here, I'll tell you what. Why don't we, again, I'm the type of guy who loves to show rather than anything else. And I'm going to do that by Mariem and Mariem County. 71 matches in Mariem, which is going to get us a map. And I'm going to view this map with y'all. All right, so we'll back it up a little bit. So here's Highway 27. Here's Highway 42. This is all Mariem County, part of the villages. So you have 301 over here. You have 441 here. And you can go out the back off of Buena Vista Boulevard. So if you kind of watch, they converge in Bellevue. Bellevue is a place where a lot of people like to go eat in the wintertime. 42. Let me back us up a little bit more. Or you can go out Buena Vista, go up 301, we just showed you. Or you can go out here and go to 475, right there. 475 will take you right to downtown Ocala, the historic district. And if you want to go out 200 over in that area, you can take 475 and then you can kind of hop on over. Well, I'd have to kind of get a little closer. But you can hop on over to 27th Avenue. And there's a little road over here, 66th Street. That'll take you to 200. Takes you to On Top of the World. Takes you to Stone Creek. So there you go. Easy peasy, right? And again, back at the villages. While I'm at it, we were talking about Spanish Springs, right? So, Spanish Springs, we're going to kind of come on in. And here's Spanish Springs right here. So if we're taking a look at Spanish Springs, you have the old movie theater, right? This is the square. This is the movie theater. This right here is the Sharon Performing Arts Center. But then you have over here, you have the Marriott. So that's why I was saying I can really see them taking this out and putting some apartments in there. I don't think they'd take the Lorena out. That has some historical significance because that's what they named Sharon Morris after this building, La Reina, because they used to call Sharon Morris La Reina, the queen of the villages. So they may, but I really see there's a lot of area here to develop for apartments, I think, if they wanted to. Over here is kind of where the Katy Bells area is, and then you have another strip mall over here. But to me, kind of makes sense if they took this out and built some apartments. Anyways, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, so let's kind of keep going through our questions here. So Kristen, hopefully that answered your question. Get with me and we'd really dive into in depth of what you're looking for, and really good prices and no bonds. Well, okay, $2,000 bonds at the most up there in Mariem County. So people like that. So we're going to get past the mortgage questions here. And Mindy, Ira, can you go check on Cordova Rec Center, which I did. You did a great video on first responders. Thank you very much. Again, I showed you, I've already done the Cordova. Antonio's got it saved somewhere in oblivion over there. So Adam, thank you for that comment as well. So I'm still working on getting a homeowner's insurance guy or girl in here to talk with us. That's like pulling teeth. They're just scared to death for some reason to come over here and talk live on this channel. For whatever reason, well, I guess I found out when I saw my homeowners go up $5,000 in 2 years. All right, let's keep going. So Ira, can you go check? We talked about that. All right. It looks like that Marriott is nice. We stayed there, but it is nice. It's been there a long time. It's been there, well, as long as I've started working there, and that's almost 25 years. They're saying they're celebrating 30 years. But when I started there in 2000, that's when they started. First of all, let me just explain a little bit about Spanish Springs and the origin of Spanish Springs. When I first started with the villages, where they have the sales office now is where I started working for Properties of the Villages in that exact same building. They didn't have the Lorena building. They did have Katy Bells, but all those buildings where you see Fridays and you see, is that Panera? And Dunkin' Donuts and Margarita, what's that? I call it Margaritaville. Anyway, all those buildings going from the square out to 441. Wait a minute, do I still have this up here? Yeah, here we go. So, this is the square. This is the Sharon Morris. And then going out, all these buildings here, this is where my sales office was when I first started with the villages. And they made it into a little knick-knack shop, and then they put it back as a sales center. This is where Citizens First Bank is over here. But all of this, all of this, all of this, and all of this, all this was all support. This is where the design center was, where you would go walk in and you would design your home, and then they would build your home from that. This was the whole design department back in 2000. Over here, the operators were over there. Over here, administration was all in this building, upstairs and downstairs. And then same way with over here. So all this was, there were no stores. And then this was a church. This was church on the square. They did have the movie theater there when I started. This was Lorena Building. No, actually, this wasn't here when I first started. They built the Lorena Building, and that ended up being our new sales office around 2001. And this is where the brand new sales office was, and I had a fantastic office on the second floor. I was able to look down over the square. It was really cool. But then, yeah. But again, I really feel like you have all of the attached villas over here. So I really think this is where the apartments are going to go. Okay. So, Mindy, I hope that little sneak peek was good for you. All right, 8 o'clock, folks. I think we're going to wrap it up now and for the evening. I really appreciate everybody attending. Sorry, Jamie Miller, my lovely daughter, I didn't give you a heads up to give all of you a heads up that we were going to have Mariem. Last week was crazy. Blakely was out all week, sick all week. I had to do her job and my job. Look, I think she was out because of how much stress she was under and overworked she was. So can you imagine me doing her job and my job? Totally insane. That's never going to happen again, because I took all my agents that I have here in this office and I told them today, everybody's getting cross-trained. Everybody's going to know how to do Blakely's job. So if Blakely ever gets sick again, if Blakely ever goes on vacation again or whatever, we're going to have people covering, because I lost a customer because he didn't want to, I don't know, I guess I wasn't fast enough for him. He is coming in May, and I was covered up, and then I think when did we talk to him, like on a Monday or Tuesday?
I'm not sure, I don't remember.
I think we talked to him. I was in my car, answering the phone, talking on the phone in my car. Didn't call him back till Thursday. I apologized. And then I told him I would set him up on an auto email. So he gave me all his parameters of what he wanted in a home. Well, there are no homes on the golf course, in the villages, 1,800 square feet or more, under $450,000. They don't exist. So, all of a sudden I get a text message or an email, I can't remember which. I think it was a text message to the office phone.
Yep.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it, but I'm sorry, I have to tell you, I went and found another agent. So again, I explained to him on Thursday why it took me 2 days, Wednesday, actually from Tuesday to Wednesday, Wednesday to Thursday, why it took me that long to respond to him. And I guess he just didn't understand. So anyways, Jim, if you're watching, again, I'm sorry about that, but you know what? This is a very busy office. A lot of people want to work with me, and I have to handle business in the moment, right? If somebody is coming in May and I have somebody buying a home today, I have to take care of that person. I have to make sure everything is done right. We don't drop the ball, nothing slips through the cracks for that person who's putting an offer on a home. And actually I had 2 homes that I sold within that period of time. So I do the best I can with what I got. Like I said, Blakely is extremely busy, and when I have to do her job and my job, something has to break there. But again, I think there's an argument to be made that if you're not coming till May, that let's see, February, March, April, May, in 3 months, that I would have hoped you would have understood that I was trying to handle business at hand. All right, guys, thanks so much. Really appreciate all of you attending tonight. Thank you for listening to me ramble on there at the end. And I'm here for you next week. Please, everybody, come back next week. And if there's any new people that were here today, I didn't get a chance to talk to all the new people. Keep America 2A strong. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. Gracie, thank you. Mindy, as always, thanks. Adam, 50 degrees in Kentucky, that's not too bad. All right, y'all, take care. See you next week. Love you.